Welcome to another episode of OG55 Live. I am joined by the none other than the Italiano with me today. We are taking your questions, your comments, parks, studio, whatever nerdy stuff you want to talk about, we'll talk about it today. Up next on OG55. Let's get it. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55 Live on this beautiful Saturday evening. George, welcome back, sir. It's good to see you.
Thanks. Always glad to be back. Glad to be doing another live because I love doing these shows. I love interacting with our viewers and what have you, and diving into some Disney park studios and all that good stuff. Absolutely. Always a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. George, if you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There it is. All right, let's dive in. Let's waste no more time. Let's dive into our questions. Googamp32. Always good to see you, Googamp. Why do you guys always do these when I'm getting ready for bed? Googamp, George and I we have one rule on OG55, and that one rule is the lives have to be done when Googamp is about ready to go to bed. I called George. I'm like, hey, George, the Italiano, you got the word? Oh, yeah, Googamp's going to bed. Let's do it. Right, George? I mean, you can vouch for me, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like, we try to time it just perfectly. Like right when you're like, finish brushing your teeth, it's like, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, he's flossing right now. He's almost gonna hit the sack. Let's go live. It's always good to see you, Googam. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate you. Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK with 10 euros. Matthew, thank you so much. Matthew is family here on OG55, longtime friend of the channel. Planning on getting Matthew back on very, very soon. 2 spicy questions. George, are you ready for spicy?
I live for spicy.
Sriracha level spicy right now. Okay. Sriracha level. We got question number 1. Do you think any of Disney Animation's output in 2023 could have turned out better if Bush or Lasseter were still in charge? Okay. So in terms of just Disney Animation, that's possible. I never saw Wish. I never really got motivated to see it. I still haven't seen it on even Disney Plus. But from what I've heard from like the Italiano and what I've heard from a lot of friends and people on social media, it was okay. It was an okay movie. It was fine. I mean, I didn't hear a lot of massive praise for it. It was decent, right? So yes, I think if Jared Bush was in there, it's possible we could have got a better movie with that one. In terms of Pixar, though, if I'm going to add Pixar, because you did mention Lasseter, I actually really, really, really enjoyed Elemental. Like, I really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was really great. I think Pixar is doing great right now. I liked Inside Out 2 a whole lot. Just watched it the other day. It destroyed me. It was a really emotional movie. Hit close to home because I do suffer from anxiety myself. But I think Inside Out 2 was a gorgeous movie. And I loved Elemental, which is also a beautiful movie. So I think Pixar has been doing pretty good. Wish, yeah, that one, it got really mediocre reviews. I think maybe it's possible if Jared Bush was in charge of that, maybe it would have turned out better, but maybe not. To be fair, Jennifer Lee, we just don't know. It's a hypothetical. But George, before we dive into question number 2, what say you, sir?
Definitely with Wish. I feel like, again, I said it before and I'll say it again because a lot of people don't watch, our previous shows. But the thing with Wish is it was a film that was to be a representation of Disney's 100, the 100 years of the company. And they were kind of spearheading, kind of marketing it as 100 years in the making, from the creators of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Dumbo, Pinocchio, Fantasia. Like, they were just like running like every single movie. And it's like, oh my gosh, this movie is going to be so epic. And
right.
It's like, it's a good movie, but it falls a little short.
Yeah, they name every single every single cinematic masterpiece the company has ever done in the last 100 years. And here's the grand finale, Wish, you know? And that was basically like the marketing kind of tone, right? A little bit. So I agree with you completely, George. It really did set it up a little bit for failure. You know what I'm saying? Because it really wasn't like an amazing movie. And the marketing made it sound like it all led up to this, you know? So it did. The marketing didn't do it any favors.
As far with Pixar goes, yes, I do feel like they made a comeback significantly with Inside Out 2. But I did enjoy Luca. I have to say I was not a fan of Turning Red. It's still not my cup of tea, but I have to say I'm actually a fan of the soundtrack.
Okay.
I'm a fan of the soundtrack. The songs from what was the boy group called, what is it, Boys Town or something?
Four Town? Is it Four Town?
Yeah. So it shows how much I really know. But I mean, I like some of the music. But anyway, I digress. That I feel like that Pixar, I want to see what they do when they go back to original films. Because we know that, you know, with Inside Out 2, it was very successful. But was it successful as being a great film? I believe so.
Yeah, I do too.
I also think it does play into the fact that it is a sequel off of an already successful original film that was released back in 2015. So I want to see the big question is, how is Elio and Hopper going to do?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, there is definitely at least a baseline built-in audience for something like Inside Out 2. But there were a lot of people that were saying that families have really given up on the Disney brand because they felt like they were inserting a lot of woke stuff in these movies, right? Which is fine. You believe that. I'm not judging. That's your belief, and that's totally fine. I respect that. But I have to push back, though, on that a little bit, because if that really was the case, if families were so concerned about woke stuff being inserted in these new Disney animated films, and that's why they stayed away from things like Wish and Strange World or what have you, then how do you explain Inside Out 2's like really, really strong pre-sale tickets? Like, I get it. Like, you're right, George. I mean, it did have a baseline audience to some degree because it's a sequel. But at the end of the day, though, it's like if families were really concerned, even if it's a sequel, they should have been apprehensive. Like, oh, we got to pre-screen this movie. I know it's a sequel, but they've been really woke lately, right? And you didn't see that. And so for me, that whole narrative and that whole thing about like, well, you know, families really abandoned the Disney brand. I just personally, respectfully disagree. I think that families were always on board with the Disney brand, had nothing to do with the woke or this, that, and the other. I think really what it was is there's a lot of there's a lot on the line right now when it comes to animation. When you go to the theater, you're spending $100+ easy to take your family. You know what I'm saying? When you know that this thing is going to be on streaming in like a couple of months, you know, it's not like a rom-com or something like that where it's a lot of couples, like you and your girlfriend or you and your wife, whatever. Like, animation is a whole family. You're talking 4, 5, 6 people that are going to the theater. That's very expensive. So families are much more picky when it comes to their animation dollars. And I just think that Wish and these other movies just didn't entice people to get to the theaters. I really don't think it had anything to do with the ideology concerns or anything like that, in my opinion. And I think Inside Out 2 kind of proved that with their pre-sale numbers. So we'll see. But
Matthew, I also think too, a lot of animated films nowadays kind of all have that same kind of art style, if you will. You know, there are some movies from Disney Animation and Pixar that definitely feel DreamWorks and Illuminations, unfortunately. And I feel like that can play a part of it too, because when you have every single animation movie that's coming out of a different studio, but it all has that same kind of quirky slapstick kind of feel to it, it tends to kind of get a little bit too not overwhelming, but it becomes very redundant. Like, it's like, okay, this feels like another Minions movie or another
kind of generic is kind of what you're saying. Yeah. Like, okay, I get
like,
that.
To me, like with Strange World, I felt like the animation was very generic. It was something along the lines of like when like mid 2000s, like when Disney was still trying to figure out the animation, the CGI, like Meet the Robinsons. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Meet the Robinsons. I think it's a very underrated Disney animated film. But when you look at the animation standpoint of it, you can tell that it was a work in progress.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Now Matthew does follow up with part 2 saying, will Lightning Lane eventually become a universal style system? I hope so, Matthew. I mean, they're kind of inserting a universal style system with Lightning Lane Premier. The problem with that, Universal's system works because I think they call it Express Pass over there, if I'm not mistaken. But Universal system works is because that's the only system they have. So it's a higher priced, skip the line program or whatever you want to call it. And so there's a barrier to entry. So when you do spend $150, $200 on this Express Pass, right? It's actually an Express Pass, right? The problem with Disney is that they're not getting rid of the current system. They're keeping the current system and adding on top of that a universal style Express Pass. So it defeats the whole purpose because the people paying $300 and $400 for Lightning Lane Premier are waiting in the same line as the people that paid $32 for the multi-lane thing. It's an absolute mess, Matthew. We did a video on it recently. We're going to do another video on it again soon. But it's just not a good thing. Disney has to really just kind of like nuke their system and just completely do what Universal is doing. Copy Universal. On this, Universal is correct, and Disney should absolutely follow suit. Now, Disney is still the industry leader, okay? They are still the industry leader. Now, what they should do is charge a little more than Universal for that service, and that's fine. You can charge a little more, but it should be the same style where you pay. You don't have to do the ride reservations. You just go in. You can go on any ride you want. It's a one and done kind of thing, and you price it accordingly to block people out. You have to, so the system actually works properly. You can't have too many people in the system. So yeah, they should. Will they, Matthew? Hopefully. What say you, George?
Yeah, it's right now. It's kind of a mess at this point with the Lightning Lane system. I think they just went so far down the rabbit hole where it was like the startup with Genie Plus, and now it's no Genie Plus, but Lightning Lane was attached to it. They still have all the signage up, so to save money, they keep it as Lightning Lane. Then they change it to like Lightning Lane multi-lane or single lane, and now it's Premier Pass. It's just have one and done. Just have a one type of extra cost to put attached to your ticket or your vacation package if you want to skip the lines like Universal does. I mean, they have like different they have like a different variation of the same like Express in the sense of like where you can go multiple times on one attraction or what have you, but it's still based off of one form,
right? Yep, 100%. And Dragon Blood is kind of piggybacking off of the animation stuff, saying, and Dragon Blood, it's always good to see you. I love your name. It's awesome. I still think lots of families are into Disney still. I agree with you. I think people saying families gave up on Disney is their wishful thinking. I think will never come true at all. And I want to bring up a couple others too, because a couple other comments here are related to this. But Dragon Blood, you're right. I do think there's a little bit of wishful thinking with some of this stuff. Not that people are malicious necessarily, nothing like that, but I think people want to feel vindicated, right? Like, oh, well, I think these movies are failing because of X, Y, and Z. Or, people gave up on the brand because of X, Y, and Z. So they want to kind of like feel vindicated, like, yeah, see, people are giving up on Disney and feel like, see, I'm right. Like, I said that they shouldn't do this, that, and the other, and here they are, they're failing. I would agree with you, Dragon Blood. I don't think Disney is failing. I think that it's the talk of its demise is extremely exaggerated and overblown. I think they're just fine. I do think that people love the Disney brand in general. That's why it's so talked about still. I think people just really want the right content though, like same with Star Wars. Look, people were saying Star Wars was dead. After the sequel trilogy, Star Wars is dead. It's gone. It's gone, right? And then Mando comes out and oh my gosh, cultural phenomenon, right? These franchises are sleeping giants. You do the right content, it'll catch fire. So people haven't given up on Star Wars. I mean, if they did, YouTube wouldn't have a bajillion videos about Star Wars doing numbers, right? Even if it's negative stuff, people still care enough to watch that, right? There's still interest there for Star Wars. Same with Disney. People love Disney animation, but they're not just going to give Disney money for anything. They have to want to see the movie. You know,
look at the merchandise. I mean, Star Wars still does gangbusters with merchandise. So does Marvel, Disney, and Pixar as well. You know how many people that I've seen walking around with Disney like Loungefly bags and Dooney and Burks and wearing Disney hoodies and sweaters and t-shirts. I mean, people aren't just buying that just because they say, oh, for the sake of that it's a political wokeness or what have you. No, people are buying the stuff because they're still really into it. Disney is still relevant.
Very much so. Very much so. Friend of the channel, Mr. C. Morduck, who I will be recording tomorrow with. We're going to talk about this Twitter stuff. The block button changes. We're going to talk all about that in a video. We're going to record it tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be up tomorrow, but we're going to record it. It'll be up in the next few days, but we're going to talk about that and also Netflix. But Mr. Duck says here, it's only woke when it's not successful. Exactly. Barbie, we talked about it on the channel. The narrative was that movie is the wokest thing to ever hit Hollywood, but the minute that thing was making money, suddenly there was no more talk about it being woke, because I've said it before, but not everyone watches every video, so I tend to repeat sometimes. The whole argument is go woke, go broke, right? So if you have a movie like Barbie that you're calling woke, and then it goes and makes $1 billion+, well, you kind of cut into your own bumper sticker slogan, right? Go woke, go broke. Well, that one's not going broke, and that one's woke, apparently. So once it starts making money, you got to pretend it's not woke, Seymour. You know what I'm saying? And then one final thing, which is all connected. I'm trying to lump these together because they're all kind of same topic. Mark McHugh, always good to see you, Mark. I think culture changes. When people complain about woke, they are just upset that the world is changing faster than they can. There's a lot of truth to that. There is a lot of truth to that. Culture does change. You know, look at even stuff like smoking. When I was a kid in the 80s, I would go to my doctor's office as a kid, and in the elevators, they would have ashtrays. People could smoke in the elevators in the 80s. Okay,
on airplanes.
On airplanes. Now you couldn't get away with that. The culture changed. Culture does change. Culture evolves. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that a lot of people sometimes are very stuck in the way things used to be. And when the world changes, I agree with you, Mark. It is hard for a lot of people. You know, so yeah, 100%, 100%. We got Mr. Tech Bear in the house. Mr. Tech Bear, Kev is in the house. Hey, my dudes, I have a 10.5-hour flight in a few days. Well, where are you going, Mr. Tech Bear? That sounds like maybe like an overseas flight. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. What classic Disney movies should I watch on the flight? You know, my go-to classic Disney movie is Pollyanna. I love Pollyanna. Maybe because I'm such a Pollyanna guy, right? I'm so positive, right? I don't know. I like Pollyanna. What about you, George?
Yeah, I would definitely suggest for a 10.5-hour flight, always go for a longer movie. Pollyanna actually is one of them. Yeah. Another Disney Haley Mills classic I love is the original 1961 Parent Trap.
Oh, I love that movie. Let's get together. Yeah. I love that movie. And George, at D23, we got to see her perform that song.
We did. What a treat that was.
How amazing was that, seeing her on stage performing that?
That was, I mean, a piece of history, like right in front of our eyes, that, you know, we grew up watching that movie. We know the actress, we know the characters, we know the song, but to actually see her on stage in person live performing it, I mean, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Amazing, incredible woman. It was truly, I had goosebumps watching her perform that. I was like, oh, this is wild. Mr. Seymour Duck, member for 3 months. Seymour, thank you so much, brother. We appreciate Seymour. Seymour is on a lot of content here on the channel. He is absolutely brilliant. He does a lot of financial analysis. But even he gets nerdy too, though. He gets nerdy with the Disney stuff and like with a lot of video games, like Nintendo things. He's into like the VTubers, right? Awesome guy. We love Seymour. And like I said, we're doing a video on Twitter X about all this block stuff nonsense going on, and that'll be out in the next few days. So check it out. That'll be Seymour and I. Mr. T.S. Wade is in the house. I don't know if I asked this before. If I did, I apologize. But I know Disney Animation did a hybrid film Wish. They did, absolutely. But is there a chance that Disney Animation will create another hybrid film, as in 2D, 3D, like Paperman? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, hybrid is more likely than I think like a full-blown, like just 2D.
I agree.
I think that a hybrid, like, I mean, Wish was kind of already a hybrid. I mean, I don't think they actually used old school materials for Wish. Like they didn't use like pencil and paper, like the 90s, right? Mm. Or, like Walt's Day. But I mean, it was done in a way that looked like it was mixed in with like the texture and of a CGI. So I see no reason why not. I mean, they kind of already did it with Wish. So yeah, I think they will. What about you, George? What do you think?
Yeah, I think if they were to do anything in that format, they would go the route of like Paperman, with kind of like a blended hybrid between the 2D and 3D animation. I don't know if they'll go necessarily back to 2D. Definitely, even if they do, it wouldn't be like a full-on, like hand-drawn,
Right.
Obviously. But I mean, I still would enjoy a regular 2D animation because I love Princess and the Frog. I think even though the movie did not so hot, in the theaters, and I think that's what kind of crippled it as far as people calling it like a classic. But I think it grew into people's kind of watch list over time.
Yeah,
and people learned to appreciate it more.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lucas and Disney, it's always good to see you, Lucas. Thank you for joining us, brother. We actually did a video with Lucas actually last night. It's up on the channel now, all about Epic Universe, opening date, ticketing announcements, all that stuff. But Lucas here is saying Inside Out 2 probably did the best example of hybrid. You know what? I loved the 2D stuff in that movie with Bloofy and Pouchy.
Oh, yes.
Chef's kiss. I thought that was so funny. I loved it. And I even loved the guy who was like the video game dude, Stargazer or whatever his name was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he's trying to get out of the door, and it's like a video game where he keeps hitting the wall, and then he gets it right and he goes out. So good. You're right, Lucas. That was a brilliant use of hybrid animation. Really well done. Teo is in the house. What's up, Teo? George, this is for you, Italiano. This is for you. Right. Have you stayed at all of the Walt Disney World resorts? No matter the number, which ones are your favorite?
Oh, good question. So I haven't stayed at all of them, unfortunately, but I have stayed at a big chunk of them because honestly, whoever knows me knows that I rarely, if I ever do, if I go to Walt Disney World, I don't like staying off property. I don't. I love staying in the magic. I love being in that bubble. And as our good friend Mindy always says that I would have my left testicle chewed off by a chipmunk than to stay off of property, which is basically true. Like now,
the way you worded that, though, let's be very clear. Mindy does not have testicles.
Correct. Me. She's referring to me.
Yes. Just want to make that clear.
Yes. Lost in translation.
I think so, a little bit, but that's okay. But no, you love being on property in that Disney bubble, and I experienced that with you, and I can see the benefit to it. You pay more for it, but it's a great experience,
Yeah. So, which ones are my favorite? Okay, I know this may sound like a cop-out just because they are the lower tier of the Disney resorts, but I still enjoy staying at the All-Stars. More so the All-Star movies and the All-Star music, not so much the sports, because they have a lot of athlete teams that go down and compete at the ESPN zone, and they go for their cheerleading competitions and training and stuff like that. So a lot of times they stay at the All-Star Sports. So sometimes that can get a little bit chaotic, so to speak. But I love all-star music. I love all-star sport. Movies and music. I love Pop Century because it's adjacent to the Skyliner. Um, Basically, it's a hop, skip, and a jump if you want to get to the Riviera Resort, Caribbean Beach, Epcot, or Hollywood Studios. I've stayed at the Grand Floridian, which is actually very nice. A lot of times people kind of talk shit about the Grand Floridian, saying it's so like upscale and the people are snooty and everything. But all the cast members there were very nice. It was A+ diamond level type of service. The greeter out at the entranceway, Richard, which unfortunately we lost several years ago, but he was a beloved cast member that anybody staying at the Grand Floridian for many decades knew Richard, and he was always a very nice guy. I've stayed at the Contemporary. I've stayed at the Polynesian. I've stayed at Port Orleans. I've stayed at the Port Orleans Riverside, not the French Quarter, but Riverside. So yeah, I stayed at a nice chunk. One resort that I would like to stay at is either like the Yacht or the Beach Club or the Boardwalk.
Okay.
So cool because I love hanging around there. I love walking to the Beach Club, the Yacht Club, Boardwalk. OG, I love their pizza over there, man.
Yeah, you love it. No, yeah, and I love the Yacht and Beach Club. We didn't stay there, but like it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Yeah. If you took that clothing brand Nautica, yes, and you're like, make that a hotel or make that a resort, that's what it is basically. It's cool. It's very cool. Dragon Blood. I just feel so masculine and badass even just saying that. Dragon Blood. It's awesome. Excited for Epic Universe. Can't wait for How to Train Your Dragon, Dark Universe, and everything else. Yeah, Epic Universe is going to be a fun park. George and I are going to try to get down there. We also want to bring our friend, we want to bring all the OG crew over there. We really want to just do a whole like family trip basically out down there and check everything out. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think Nintendo World will be cool. They have that Donkey Kong thing that we don't have out here in California. I'm not super into the How to Train Your Dragon thing. It's probably not my demo. I haven't been impressed with a lot of stuff that I've been seeing for that land, but I would agree with you. Dark Universe looks insane. Really, really good. And I'm sure the Harry Potter stuff will be top notch like it always is. But what about you, George? Epic Universe.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited about it. And despite that, yes, over here we are Disney biased. Disney will always be our love and passion number one, obviously. But that doesn't mean that I dislike Universal. I do enjoy going to Universal. It is a completely different feel. It's a different experience. It allows me to broaden my horizons of visiting other, places other than Disney. There's also other places that I have on my list as well. Like I definitely want to visit Dollywood. Just because, not even just with Dollywood, but I just want to go down to Tennessee in general to go to Nashville. I heard it's like kind of like the music city, so to speak. Visit the Grand Ole Opry and what have you. So,
and from what I've seen of Dollywood, the little that I have seen, I haven't seen too much of it, but the little that I have seen, the little that I've heard about Dollywood, it kind of reminds me of like a Knott's Berry Farm. Like it's very much a regional park, but it packs a lot of charm.
I've heard that her fried chicken and her peach cobbler are like top notch.
Wow. Yeah, the food. It sounds amazing over there. Which again reminds
when I say her peach cobbler, I literally mean peach cobbler. That wasn't Orlando.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, clarification. Well, and that's the thing. That's another reason why it kind of reminds me of Knott's, because Knott's, the food was one of the things that really impressed me over there.
I agree.
More than anything, you know.
I agree.
So Keegan, it's good to see you, Keegan. Would have been easier for George to list a resort he hasn't stayed at. Probably, dude.
Probably, yeah.
Probably, absolutely. George has done a lot of Disney. Between your Walt Disney World stuff, your Disneyland stuff, which you're doing again very soon, and was it 9 Disney cruise ships?
9 Disney cruises.
Crazy, bro. Absolutely crazy. Matterhorn Mania. It's good to see you, Matterhorn Mania. Going to Disneyland Paris parks for the first time in December. Any tips or recommendations? George, what say you? What do you think, brother? Going to Disneyland Paris, first time. What do you suggest?
Well, I definitely suggest. Now, I've never personally been to Disneyland Paris. I do want to eventually visit all the Disney parks around the world, but one thing that's so unique with Disneyland Paris, well, a couple things. You definitely have to check out the dragon. I guess there's like a hidden like cave tunnel that's by the castle. That you can see the audio animatronic dragon that lives beneath the castle. The other is I've heard nothing but good things about Disneyland Paris's version of Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah,
because their Big Thunder Mountain literally is on an island. So literally you board in like the main structure of the park, and then I guess you go through like a tunnel that's like underground, and you come up onto the island where the actual main ride is. So I think that's very unique and very different.
Well, and not only, not to interrupt you, I'll let you continue, but not only have I heard good things about it, I've heard it's the best version of the attraction, so, go ahead, George.
No, you're good. And actually, Starship actually mentioned what I was going to mention is the Electrical Sky Parade. I've seen videos of that on YouTube, and that show looks absolutely breathtaking. And if that's what it looks like on YouTube, I could imagine what that looks like in person.
Yes, absolutely. That looks amazing. It's a really cool next gen way to bring that parade to life. I love it. Yes, you have to see that. You have to see that Matterhorn Mania. Dragon Blood.
Sorry.
That stuff. Oh, go ahead.
It scrolled down. I meant to put this one up first.
Cinnamon bread. Okay. All right. Well, if we ever go to Dollywood, we got to get the cinnamon bread.
Yeah.
That's on the list for sure. Lucas and Disney. Lucas, Kim, thank you so much for joining us, brother. Let me see here. Sorry, my computer glitched for a second. There we go. People gave up on the brand, or this company is failing because their expectations are high and were spoiled and honeyduked for a long time by then. Well, that's true. I mean, people are very like, no one has higher expectations than when you're walking through a Disney park or when you're checking out a Disney movie, right? The expectations are so sky high. A movie like Wish, which a lot of people thought was very mid, if another studio released that, it would be pretty impressive, So you're right, Lucas, the Disney brand holds a very high standard. You're absolutely right on that. What say you, George, about that, about the standard in which the Disney brand holds, and people going into their stuff, whether it's a movie, whether it's a park, that kind of impacts and their perception.
It does. And I feel like it could be a blessing and a curse in a sense, because I always hold Disney to a high standard because I've seen what they can do. They definitely set the bar. Disney was always the number one kind of like leader of the pack, so to speak. And I feel like that's a good thing in a way, but then also on the other end, it's like when they maybe make a not so good decision, they are faulted to not just that decision. It's now, okay, the whole entire company is now tarnished. It's like now they're going down the beaten path of like nothing but wokeness and negativity and so on and so forth. So it's like, well, because Disney needs to set the prime example that it's like, okay, how come this seems subpar and it's down here when they should be up here? And it's like, as I said, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yeah. Disney has the most passionate fan base, which is great, but there are cons to that for sure. Absolutely. Always good to see you, Lucas. Thank you, brother, for joining. We have a great question here from Kaylee with 2 E's. Kaylee with 2 E's. Thank you so much, Kaylee, for being a member. We do appreciate you. Kaylee with 2 E's says here, what are your fave shirts that you own?
Oh, I know mine.
It's funny, Kaylee. Honestly, my fave shirts are actually, I have this brand, and I'm not sponsored by them. I just buy a lot of their stuff. It's called O21 Originals, and their t-shirts fit so good. It's like the material is so high quality, and it like kind of like, it just kind of hugs all the right places, so to speak. And they're like the perfect t-shirts. O21 Originals. Love it, love it, love it. And I got like 10 of their shirts. Those are my favorite shirts. They're nothing special. They're nothing special. There's no designs on them or anything like that. I just love the way they feel. So, and actually I do have sad news for you, Kaylee. I cannot find my Big Al shirt. I don't know where it went. I can't find it. So it's gone. I don't know where it is. But the good news, I got it on TeePublic, so I can get it again. So we'll see. George, favorite shirt?
My favorite shirt of all time, actually, believe it or not, this is the one the one article of clothing that my ex-wife got me that I actually liked. It's definitely up there as far as gift goes. Like the paper shredder came at number 2. But
the paper shredder. That was number 2, huh?
It was number 2, yeah. But my favorite shirt is actually
that's great. What was number 3, dude? Like the paperweight or the
I don't even know if there was a 3.
That's hilarious, bro. That's hilarious.
But my favorite shirt is actually it's a black t-shirt and it has a sausage on it and it's in the colors of the Italian flag. And it says I believe it says something like the Italian king, and then it has a sausage, and then it has
Sorry, go ahead. I'm playing the Italian national anthem. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it has a sausage, and then
a sausage with the Italian colors on the sausage, and it says something like the Italian king or something, or the Italian sausage, or I have an Italian sausage or something, and there's an arrow that's pointing downward.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Favorite shirt, which I do love wearing it, but I do wear it in public, but I wear it in public around here. So I don't like go to like a Disney park or
no, you shouldn't.
So no, because it's like, but I do wear it around here, and it definitely catches some attention.
I would guess so, man. I would guess so. You know, you're at Walmart and you walk by with here's my Italian sausage. That's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Kaylee continues here with, are you going to make OG55 sing? I can't talk today, dude. Are you going to make OG55 stickers to send, or I feel like this is kind of an inside joke, a little bit, but I could actually, I can make that happen, Kaylee. If you want an OG55 sticker, I can absolutely send you one. Absolutely. What say you, George? Are you down to make some stickers?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so Matterhorn Mania. Do you think we could ever get a Wally and Eve dark ride in Tomorrowland? Do I ever think we could? I hope we do. I love them. I love that franchise. I would love to see a really well done, properly done dark ride with these characters. Oh, it'd be beautiful.
But do you know what? That does give me some high hopes, because now I know we just did a video on the Disney Adventure cruise ship. And for all of you who didn't see it, definitely check it out. Even if you're not into cruising, it definitely gives you an insight of like how Disney does cruising. And honestly, they do it very well. And despite the Disney Adventure selling out of Singapore, because it's built towards the Asian market, but they're doing, I guess, like a live show that's going to be part of the that particular cruise ship, and it's geared around Wally and Eve. So the fact that they're kind of like playing into the fact of like this story based around those two characters, and they also incorporated them a little bit in the World of Color show. I would love to see more Wally, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. I love him. I love Wally for the same reason I love like R2-D2 or like any of the cute little droids in Star Wars. They're just adorable. You just love them, Starship 824. Starship, I have to apologize to you. I got your Instagram DM, and we'll get you back on the show very soon. George is actually going to be on vacation starting tomorrow again, but you and I can do the topics that you brought up to me. Well, maybe this week sometime. I'll shoot you a DM. I do apologize, brother. It's been a really, really kind of busy week for us over here, but I will message you. It says, what happened? What are we laughing at?
I'm sorry. Can I bring this up real quick? Hold that question.
Sure. Who is the Asian girl at the end? Is that not the Asian girl OG was shy to say hi at Detroit? No, actually, okay, so it's so funny. No, it's not the same girl from D23, not at all. That's my girlfriend. Yes, that's it. That is Mavy's girlfriend. That is her girlfriend. Absolutely. No, she is a yeah, absolutely. I was like, you know what? I want to get like a cute female to like do a outro for us, you know? And to kind of be like, hey, you know, subscribe, you know, become a member. So I reached out to her on social media and asked her if she would do an outro for the channel, and she said yes. So this is what they are referring to in regards to the outro.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.
There you go. That is the mystery woman. But yes, she was very kind and to do the outro for us. I thought it was really, really cool. So yeah, thank you to Maybe's girlfriend. Absolutely. Okay, so where were we? Was it Starship? It's over. It's over. We're done. We are done. All right, Starship. I really hate the ticketing system for EU, Epic Universe. The fact that you only get one day at Epic Universe, no matter which one you buy, is bad. And I think it'll backfire, like DLR expecting massive crowds for Galaxy's Edge. It might, Starship. And here's the thing. Here is the thing. I have defended Disney for sometimes having to make hard decisions because of demand, right? Look, no one wants to be locked out of buying a Magic Key, right? No one wants that, but there's so much demand for it that Disney kind of has to do something, right? I kind of feel Universal's doing the same thing here with Epic, where there's so much demand that they're trying to mitigate. I also think there's two things happening. They're mitigating demand, but I've been saying for over a year plus now that the other two Universal parks are likely going to see some major cannibalization. I don't think Universal is super confident that people are going to do the other two parks and tack on another day. So I think what they're doing is they're kind of forcing and funneling people into going to all three parks. I think there is a possibility, Starship. I would agree with you. It could backfire. I think there's not a whole lot of, at least from what I'm seeing in fan circles and just on social media, I don't think there's a huge appetite to do all three. I think people just want to go to Epic Universe a la carte. So we'll see how it works out, but a fantastic point. And I agree with you. I really do. I think it's a risky move, but I get why they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? I get the why of it. Go ahead, George.
Right. I do too. Now here's the funny thing, everyone. And this is quite interesting. And I do apologize. There's the hype train. It always seems to come around right when I'm about to talk. But here's the thing. I actually called Universal yesterday because I will more likely be in the area for when Epic Universe opens, because we didn't know what the opening day was, but
now we do.
I'll be in the Orlando area when it opens. So I thought, you know what? Why not try to see if I can, go into the Lion's Den with this and see if I can maybe get a ticket or something. So I spoke to a team member, Lorraine. Shout out to Lorraine. She was awesome. She was very nice, very, very kind, but man, was she sarcastic. And I had asked her, okay, can you give me some like pricing, like for the vacation packages, like hotel tickets, how many ticket days do I need to get Epic Universe and what have you? And she said, honestly, I can't tell you that. She says it's locked on my end. And I said, really? And I said, but it was released that, the tickets are going to be and the packages are going to be released soon. She said, yeah, all that information will be released on October 22nd. And I paused and I said, but October 22nd is when everything goes on sale. She went, yep. And I went, oh, that's going to be a real mess. And she said, you're telling me.
Her name was Lorraine, huh? Yeah, poor Lorraine. Hey, shout out to Lorraine though. Shout out to she took care of you. She seemed like she was really cool and was trying her best to help you out and everything. But yeah, that's going to be tough for them. Absolutely. Lucas, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. We do appreciate you. Have Uncle Roger Nigel to sponsor record for you. There we go. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lucas. J Brad says here, quote, I wonder why OG liked Elemental so much. I just thought it was a beautiful story, a beautiful love story of two people that kind of a Romeo and Juliet story in a lot of ways, where like they shouldn't be together kind of thing, right? But they love each other no matter what. And that moment when they ended up like putting their hands together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. The last two Pixar movies have been fantastic. Inside Out 2 was another one. Just, I loved it, you know? So, but yeah, it was a good movie. And actually it's funny because that one was interesting because a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people were into it from the marketing because it didn't start off very good, but it legged out pretty decently, you know?
Yeah. I think in the very beginning, people didn't really give it a chance. I think if they would have been open-minded to it, I think that would have been a bigger hit than just a sleeper hit, because when it was released on Disney Plus, it was picking up some numbers.
Yeah, no, it was doing good. I didn't see it in theaters. I was going to do a Story Geeks with Jay Shear. And you know, when you do a Story Geeks with Jay Shear, you got to come prepared. You know what I'm saying? You got to come prepared. So I was watching that movie the night before. So it's fresh in my mind, and I'm watching this thing going, I love this movie. It's so good. Elemental and Inside Out 2, Pixar, the last two movies have been absolutely fantastic. Absolutely. Shane Nurani, and again, I do apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. What would you do with Muppets area to bring them back to the forefront for normie park goers? The Great Muppet Movie Ride, I think would be a fantastic idea. It could be a boat ride. It could be a land vehicle, whatever you want to do. But you go through various scenes from movie history. So you can go through the scene where Rafiki is holding Simba up, right, from The Lion King, or the ballroom scene in Beauty and the Beast, right? Whatever the scene is, but those scenes are kind of replicated using the Muppets. So it could be like Gonzo holding up like, you know, Muppet Baby Kermit, you know, and you know, to do Lion King and things like that. I think that'd be really cute. I think the normies would eat that up. Absolutely. And you can swap those scenes out maybe every 10 years or so with a new movie. You know, if they have another hit on their hands, like another big Frozen or whatever, you can swap one of the scenes out with a more current movie and keep it fresh. I think that would be an excellent way to keep the Muppets relevant in the park and also bring a great capacity heavy sort of attraction. That's the route I would go with it. But will Disney do it? I don't think they will, but I think that'd be a really fun idea. What say you, George?
For me, I would actually bring back a variation of the show that they had in Magic Kingdom over at Liberty Square. What was it? The Great Moments with the Muppets or something or other. And I would actually give them a permanent home, and dare I say it, put it in the Hall of Presidents Theater. Because I personally feel like, yes, the Hall of Presidents is a classic attraction. It does harken back to, you know, the glorified days of the Magic Kingdom and gives like that Americano feel. But I feel like there's a lot of high tensions right now politically, whether you're on the left or the right. And I just feel like an attraction like that just really, I don't feel like is good for Disney, because it kind of puts them into the crossfires between both parties. And I just think, like, moving forward, we are in a time of age where it's like with social media, you know, everybody knows everybody's business. You know, it's like Big Brother is watching, and it's like nothing is sacred and secured anymore. So it's like, why not like maybe take like a version of the Hall of Presidents, but rather actually showcase the real life presidents itself. Have maybe like the Muppets do like a reenactment of like certain like historical moments, and make it fun, make it lighthearted.
Yes, absolutely. And if they ever get rid of Muppet Vision 3D, which eventually, fandom, they're going to have to. Eventually, they're going to have to. It's pretty outdated, but it was Jim Henson's last work, you know? So you have to respect that. So what I would do is you have to improve Hollywood studios. So you can't keep an outdated attraction forever, but you also don't want to disrespect Jim Henson's last work. So I've said it many times, but you should have like a Jim Henson like museum or something of that nature. If they don't have one already, I don't know. And you can play that film on loop, you know, at that museum, and you know, so people still have access to that, his last work, but you're also able to sort of, you know, not keep Hollywood studios like stuck in the past and restrict it creatively. So that's kind of my like compromise for that. But yeah, they're gonna have to address the Muppet area eventually, though. And while I don't necessarily think that Monstropolis is going to replace Muppets right now, I don't think Disney's going to do that because I think there's too much controversy right now with the Rivers of America. They don't want two things at once. Eventually, though, they're going to have to. Eventually, that day will come, and they should definitely keep that movie alive somewhere else, somehow, some way. So, excuse me. Lucas and Disney, it says here, Elemental is actually based on Peter Sohn's father's life in America after moving to Korea, and Peter's life as a Korean American. The Fire is a mixture of Middle East, Central Asia, but with Korean references. That's interesting. That is very, very interesting. Yeah, it was a beautiful story. And see, I think that's why it worked so well, Lucas. It was based on Peter's experience with his father, right? So I think when directors and filmmakers, when they have that personal experience that they kind of imprint on their work, I think it catches fire. No pun intended, But beautiful. I love that. What say you, George?
Yeah, I remember watching an interview of Peter Sohn talking about how this movie really hit close to home because he basically utilized elements to the unification of his childhood growing up and utilizing to what his family meant to him, how his father kind of like immigrated into like one area to the next, and he incorporated that. And again, having that Pixar kind of esque mentality of you're taking a personalized story that's something that means strong to you, but it's like, okay, well, how can we turn it into something where it's not just a flat line, but so it's like, okay, let's add elements to it. Like, what are two elements that just don't go together? Oh, that's fire and water. It's like, and how can they be compatible and find a way to make peace and harmony, and actually fall in love.
Yeah, I love it. We got some great questions here and great comments. Cream Puff says here, Universal should replace Marvel Islands with Invincible. Invincible is the superhero show on Amazon, I believe. And actually, friend of the channel, Josh from Den of Nerds, he's a great guy. And I watch his live shows religiously. He's like one of the most hilarious, interesting, smartest people in like this kind of like MCU Star Wars nerd space. If you haven't checked out Josh from Den of Nerds, make sure you check him out. But he said a lot of great things about Invincible. I haven't seen it yet, but he was raving about it. So I'm very curious about that. But that would be an interesting choice, Cream Puff. Very interesting choice. There's been, talk of like, what if, Universal were to make a deal with like DC or Warner Brothers and bring those characters over. That's a little more complicated because I know that like Six Flags already has a deal with Warner Brothers. So I don't know how that would work exactly, but yeah, I think Universal though needs to look at Marvel Island. They can't do anything with it substantial because Disney will never sign off on that. All they can really do is like paint it and refresh what they currently have. And I think for Universal, I think eventually they're going to want to do something more than just paint and refresh. So they're going to have to figure something out. Lucas says, I don't know if Invincible should be added within a kid's theme park. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it, Lucas, so I don't know. Oh, okay. It's massively violent. Okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, that's a thing. Yeah, absolutely. That's a thing. That's interesting. Maybe you can do like maybe they can do a partnership with Amazon for like maybe like a Halloween Horror Nights thing with Invincible or something. The Giant Peter Show. And I said show this time, George. I said show this time. Enjoying some fire pizza for dinner for the one and only George, the Italiano. There it is, George.
There it is.
There it is. Hey, Peter, I'm curious. What do you get on your pizza? Personally, I'm a cheese and just jalapenos. I like a little spice to my pizza. And then I also have, hold on one sec. Like, not only do I get jalapenos, right?
I know what you're pulling out because I put this on my pizza all the time too.
You know
it's
what I'm
true. It's the true fashion of an Italiano.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm actually going Korean, but Mother-in-law's Korean chili flakes. I have.
Okay, so just chili flakes in general, I usually do. But knowing you, yeah, you had to get the Korean part too.
Oh, these are so good, bro. These are so good. But yeah, I put the jalapenos on there and the chili flakes. I like it hot, hot, hot. But George, what about you? What do you put on your pizza? Pineapple?
So for me, I like the traditional stuff. I like pepperoni. Mushrooms are my favorite. I do love a good supreme pizza. I do love chili flakes, but there's also something that I add on there as well that I know OG cannot stand, and that's Parmesan.
Parmesan. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not a Parmesan guy. But I like cheese though. That's the weird thing. I just don't like Parmesan. Maybe here, where do I buy that? I actually got mine at Gelson's. I got it at Gelson's. And Lucas here says, OG, I'm disappointed you got a non-Korean brand. Lucas, I'm so sorry. You know what? Shoot me some. It's true. Very true. Shoot me some really good Korean brands for chili flakes, and I will definitely get them. Because I have an H Mart not too far from me, and I also have another Korean market. So I have options in terms of getting these chili flakes. But I want to know from you, what would be the best Korean brand for chili flakes? I would love to know. I got a mushroom and goat cheese with olive oil. Ooh, olive oil.
Nice.
Oh, look at Peter. He's a man of taste. He is a man of taste. And we got Florentine with the buffalo mozzarella all the way. And you know it's good when there's 4 Ys. Know it's good when there's 4 Ys, bro. That's some top tier mozzarella right there. Okay, let's see. AZ Apache 2006 Murphy coming back. Well, I just told everybody. Shit. No, yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that, and it's exciting news. We need Murphy back, right?
Yeah,
that was like such a great grand finale for Fantasmic, and I'm not like super mad that they're like in a B mode right now because I know Murphy's coming back.
Which I have watched it in B mode, and honestly, people give it a lot of crap. I don't really think it's that bad. I mean, now if Murphy wasn't coming back, then I would have an issue.
That's my thing. Exactly. I know it's temporary. So I'm not like super upset and all mad about it because I know Murphy's coming back. Okay, we got to wait a couple years. So we see a different version of it for a couple of years. We can enjoy something different in the meantime. All good, you know? See, there I go again, George. Mr. Pollyanna. Mr. Pollyanna. Joe M is in the house. Joe is saying here, what do you think about a Goofy movie overlay at Grizzly River Run? I love that idea. You can have like the whole backstory. It could be Goofy and Max going on vacation at Grizzly Peak. You can still keep it Grizzly Peak, but you insert those characters in there. And so it keeps the theme intact, but then you're adding IP for the executives who want to sell more merch. So I think it's a beautiful idea, and I would absolutely support that. I've even suggested, Joe, to have like DuckTales, because you can kind of do the same thing with DuckTales, where you can have Uncle Scrooge and the guys and Webby on an adventure to hunt for some treasure in Grizzly Peak, and you can have like little duck animatronics all the way through it. Shout out to Mr. Seymour Duck for that one. I think Seymour's gonna love that idea. But you can do DuckTales too. That franchise would work really well in that mountain. So yeah, we'll see. We will see. Let's see here. It's Florentine. Yeah, Pokemon seems more epic there than replacing Simpsons, but who knows where they will go. Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken, I think Theme Park Wizard was telling me it's going into the studio park, I believe, and Zelda's going into Islands of Adventure.
Correct. Yeah. Supposedly Pokemon is supposed to replace the Simpsons, and Zelda is supposed to go in where the Lost Continent is.
Yeah.
But as I said, I know that Zelda desperately needs to go into that spot because it just fits perfectly with the theme. But I will miss the restaurant, Mythos. If they change, I mean, I kind of wish that they would kind of keep Mythos, but just even if they rename it to something themed to Zelda, because I mean, I love that restaurant.
Yeah, it's I haven't been, but I've seen it from the from pictures and video, and it looks incredible, absolutely incredible. The Giant Peter Show says here also the restaurant I'm at is filled with hot women. There you go. There's a lot of that restaurant you're at has a lot of cake, right?
Cake!
There we go. Maybe here says I like chili flakes and honey on pepperoni pizza. Oh, that's interesting.
It is interesting. I've heard a lot of people put honey on pizza. I think it's quite interesting. I mean, usually what I do with honey, I put it on something else, but it's not pizza.
Yeah, George gets creative in the bedroom. He absolutely does. But no, that's interesting. I'll try that because I'm already there with the chili flakes for sure, and I like pepperoni too. So I might just sprinkle a little bit of honey on there and check it out. That's a great idea. Thank you, maybe. Appreciate you. We have Lene Ward in the house. Speaking of Universal, we're going to the one in California during our trip to Disneyland. Thoughts on taking a train from Anaheim to Universal? Uber seems really expensive. Yeah, I've actually done the Uber thing from my place to Disneyland, actually. And it cost me about $80 to $90 one way. But I'm lazy and I'll just pay it. George knows. I just, during rush hour, I'm like, fuck it. I'll just pay the $90. I don't care. I don't want to drive, I'm just horrible like that. But yeah, it is expensive. I've never done the train though. I've never done it, Lene, so I don't really know. I don't want to misinform you. I'm assuming you can do it. I think, though, I don't think there's like a one-way. I don't think there's one train that will go from here to there. I think you'd have to get off and get on another one, if I'm not mistaken. But George, I know you're more of a traveler, and you kind of do that stuff when you come down here. You don't have a car when you're down here. So, I mean, have you done the train thing from LA to Anaheim?
No, unfortunately I've never done the train. I'm usually just like you. I'm just take an Uber, and I know it could get a little pricey, especially during the rush hour times, but it's so worth it that I could just sit in the back, chill, relax, listen to my music, and let someone else deal with all that stuff.
Yeah. So you probably could, Lene, but I think that there is going to be probably like where you go and have to get off and get on another train and go. Pizza night goes crazy with George. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. It goes crazy. It gets sticky. Yeah, it does. Well, that we got a little sticky right here for George. Here we go. I wish I could play the whole song. They would demonetize me. Okay, we have Cream Puff. Should Disney revive some of their flops like Black Cauldron or Treasure Planet into new, more mature animated shows? Oh, that's interesting, like Arcane or Blue Eye Samurai. Hey, I'm open for that. See, Disney, the problem with Disney live action remakes is that they're remaking movies that were like not just successful, but like cinematic masterpieces. And it's big shoes to fill, kind of, right? But go and tap into some of your other animation films that didn't do well and give those stories a second chance at life. So like a Black Cauldron TV show, maybe like a mini series, maybe like a 5-episode kind of show or something would be dope, dude. Treasure Planet, another one. There's a lot of potential there, Cream Puff. I really like that idea. You can do a movie, you can also do a show, but either way, I think that would be the way to go, 100%. Yeah. And that way, if by chance the show or the movie gains traction and is really popular, now Disney has reinvigorated this once dead franchise and brought it back from the dead, basically. And now they can utilize more of the Black Cauldron stuff and the Treasure Planet stuff in the parks because now it's a successful IP, right? So I say do it, Cream Puff. We'll see. Bob Iger, if you're watching again, hey, you know what? Take Cream Puff's idea. What say you, George?
I agree. I think, honestly, the Black Cauldron, Treasure Planet, and Atlantis would be like the top 3 for me, for them to kind of do a kind of like a rebranding, like live action, like series or live action film. I think that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. The lamb burger at Mythos. Have you had that, George?
I haven't had the lamb burger, but honestly, that does sound really good. My recommendation for Mythos is the grilled octopus. I think is very good. Honestly, I know octopus can get kind of chewy and what have you, but the octopus legs are so meaty that you wouldn't even think that you're actually eating octopus. And the risotto The mushroom risotto is really good.
I was gonna make a joke there, but I'm gonna keep it family.
I know. I know where I could have. You could have. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There he is. There he is. Yeah, we rang. We rang. Here he is. The man is in the house. We got Bob Iger in the house.
With those red eyes.
Yes, yes. Yes, we love our Bob. We love our Bob. Thank you, Bob. Let's see here. We got Bob Iger in the house. It's always good to see Bob. Let's see. We'll take a couple more, then we'll get out of here. Let me see here. Apache 2006 says, I'm not a big fan of the Christmas Castle this early, especially for Christmas concert with John Legend. Oh, they must have been filming for the
they were filming for the Christmas parade, which was kind of funny because a lot of people were posting like they were adding snow on top of the castle, and it didn't really click with me as to why they were doing it. But yeah, it's because they're starting the film already, and I think it's crazy, like when you like have all these like holidays like overcrossing one another.
Yeah, I mean the Halloween started early at Disneyland because I think that the reopening of Haunted Mansion, they didn't want to like have it like shut down again after they just reopened it. There was like that window there, so like they just figured we'll just open it as holiday version. I get that, you know, I could see why it started early, but apparently they're doing Christmas early now too. So I don't know. That is absolutely wild. Expedition Greg, I've taken an Uber from Anaheim to Pasadena. Yeah. And typically like from there, what did you, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, Expedition, what did you pay for that? Like maybe $50 or something like that? Maybe 60. I paid about 80 from my house, but Anaheim to Pasadena, that's like, yeah, it's gonna be cheaper, but probably 50 or 60, I would guess. So it's pricey, but honestly, it's like comfortable, you know, and sometimes it's worth it. Alma Bacerto says here, with Disneyland's 70th anniversary next year, what would you like to see happen? I want to see a new fireworks show, like a banger fireworks show, like Wondrous Journeys, but for the parks. You know what I'm saying?
And really, Disney couldn't afford to fail on that one because Wondrous Journeys was beautiful. But the thing was, that show was based off of the whole entire company, more gearing towards the studio. So if they did that with like phenomenal music, animation, fireworks, all of it, honestly, like a 10 out of 10 for me. That when you're dealing with a milestone anniversary for the parks, then you got to up that game. And it's like, yeah, I want to see that level. Absolutely.
Wally Bogue, it's good to see you, Wally. Appreciate you joining us. I've known Wally for a very long time, very, very, very long time. Voted the best lamb burger at a theme park restaurant called Mythos. So that's bold. I've never been to Mythos, but I mean, George, you might have to check that out, dude.
I might have to check that out. I might have to try that lamb burger.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, maybe here says for the 70th, Tony Baxter in 4K. Absolutely. Absolutely, baby. We got to get Tony on the castle projection mapping in 4K. Lene Ward here says, Link to the Past, a Zelda-themed restaurant. Oh, that would be amazing.
There you go.
That would be amazing. Sorry, George. I think I did it at the same. There you go. Matterhorn Mania. What will be a future controversial ride removal? I could see Magic Kingdom Small World removed for Tangled. You know what? I don't want to see any Small World get removed, but the Small World in Magic Kingdom is really not good. I got to be honest. It's not good. It needs a proper facade. It needs its own thing. You know what I'm saying? I think, isn't Magic Kingdom the only one that does it like that? I think all the other parks. So.
Yeah, all the other parks actually have. I really wish that Disney missed out on that opportunity. They should have moved It's a Small World over to where Dumbo is now in the Storybook Circus. That's where It's a Small World should have went.
Yes, absolutely. So everybody, fantastic show today. We do appreciate everybody for joining us. We'll be back. Now, George is actually going to be going on vacation starting tomorrow. He's the vacation guy. Yeah. He'll be back. It's been a while. It's been like 2 weeks, you know? So, but he'll be back pretty soon though. He'll be back in like a week and some change.
And 2 days.
Week and 2 days. So this will be the last live stream with the Italiano. at least for a week and 2 days. But we'll be back in about a week or so and with more lives. We love doing these. A lot of fun always. I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining us today. Really, really fun time. George, where can everybody at home find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. And now we're going to do Florentine's favorite part of the show. Are you ready, Florentine? If you're still with us, are you ready? Here we go. We're going to close it out with the Queen.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.